So in example 1, part A, you see that they're using that formula to find the capacity of a paper cup cone. So this time, notice, however, they didn't give us the height of the cone. They gave us what we call the slant height, which is why you see them using Pythagorean theorem in order to find the height of the cone. And so you go through all that, you take the diameter that they gave of 2.2 and cut it in half to find the radius, and now you have all the information you need to plug into the formula. So the radius that they found was 1.1. The height that they found was 1.42. And when they type that all into a calculator, they find that the volume of the cone is 1.1 squared times 1.42 divided by 3 times pi. Where's my pi button? There it is. Is approximately 1.8 cubic inches. So now we find the capacity of that cone by taking the 1.8 inches that is the volume in cubic inches and use this conversion factor to convert it into how many fluid ounces 1.8 cubic inches is equivalent to. So I'm doing that 1.8 approximately times 0.554, and I get approximately 1 fluid ounce. In this problem, I know I'm going to need to convert to ounces again, so I'm going to write that conversion factor again. It's 0.554 ounces per cubic inch. Very much like the last problem also, I need to find the radius, and I need to use Pythagorean theorem in order to find the height. So my radius is 2.4 divided by 2, which is 1.2. My height, I do Pythagorean theorem to find, and I do h squared plus 1.2 squared equals 3.9 squared. So h squared is 3.9 squared minus 1.2 squared, which is 13.77. When I take the square root of both sides, I get that h is approximately 3.7. And so now I'm ready to plug into the formula. 1/3 pi r squared h will be 1/3 pi times 1.2 squared times 3.7. And when I evaluate that in my calculator, I get approximately 5.58. And since the problem is asking me to find the capacity of the cone to the nearest fluid ounce, just like we did in the last problem, we're taking this 5.58 cubic inches and multiplying it by the 0.554 ounces per cubic inch. And we find that it'll fit approximately 3.1 ounces. In this example, we're finding the volume of a composite figure. So looking at the composite figure, I hope you would notice it's a cone on top of a cylinder. In part A, you see the first thing that they did was to find the volume of the cylinder doing pi r squared times h. Then they found the volume of the cone, and they did so by finding the height of the cone. Notice they didn't actually give us the height of the cone. They gave us the height of the cylinder, the height of the entire composite figure, so that's why we have to do 32 minus 19 to get that the height of the cone is 13. It has the same radius as the cylinder, which is 8. So now we can do 1/3 pi r squared h to find the volume of the cone. So that'll be 1/3 pi times 8 squared times 13. And when we type that in our calculator, 64 times 13 times pi divided by 3 is approximately 871.3. And so to find the total volume, we add the volume of the cylinder plus the volume of the cone. Volume of the cylinder was 3820.2 plus the volume of the cone, which was 871.3. And when we add those together, we get 4,691.5 cubic millimeters. For this last example, we have a cone-shaped hole in the top of a cylinder. So notice that in this cylinder, where the cone has been taken out, the height and the radius of the cone and the cylinder are the same. So recall also that the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h, and that the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. So if in these two formulas my r's are the same and my h's are the same, if I'm finding the volume of a cylinder and finding the volume of a cone and subtracting the cone away from the cylinder, I could think of this as a 1 out in front of the volume of a cylinder formula, and 1 minus 1/3 is 2/3. So I could just find 2/3 of the volume of the cylinder. Okay, so let's find the volume of the cylinder. Volume of the cylinder, I've already put the formula there, it's pi r squared h. So pi times my radius is 1.8, so 1.8 squared, times my height, which is 4.3. And in my calculator, 1.8 squared times 4.3 times pi is 43.77. And so to find the volume of the figure, I'm just going to take 2/3 of 43.77. And if it makes your heart happy, you can put that over a 1. And remember, when you're multiplying fractions, it's straight across the top and straight across the bottom. So 43.77 times 2 divided by 3 is 29.2 approximately cubic centimeters.